So I think it was Tuesday. I had a free day, free morning.
Yeah.
Like no, I had no meeting scheduled. That's what I consider minus everything else that goes on, getting everybody started for the day, jobs. I could do everything I needed from my phone. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the pit. And I'm going to figure out where the sand hits the bottom. And, I was just there like myself, or maybe this was last week because you were with me one day. Anyways, I was there one day when I was by myself. And it was just like, when I'm in the machine, I was just trying to focus, and I had this goal in my head of like, okay, I got like 4 hours this morning to just like pull sand up, find the clay, how much sand, what's the sand look like. And it was just like the unexpected phone calls, people trying to get a hold, needing answers for stuff. And I'm like, man, like I had a plan for this morning that was going to go this way. And then I ended up literally getting out of the machine, turning the key off, getting in my truck, going back to the office. And I had to come back here and I had to answer the emails and then go meet people at a different job site. It was just like the whole day just got completely ruined. And that's why I find it hard, even with Jake, he sees it, my filmer, like, it's like, and I think that was the big issue too with like, just filmers in the past or just people in general, is like, I'll have a plan and then that plan doesn't follow through. And then it's like, you let me down, dude. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, oh, you have no idea, man. I'm not trying to say that what I'm doing is so much more important and you have no idea, but just the unexpected.
Yeah. Please understand it. And like, I'm sure you do a good job at communicating with everybody. Like I try
my best, but sometimes communication gets lost, right?
Yeah. Sometimes
it's
I'm
hard.
Like, remember I told you, they're like, you never told me that. I'm like, well, I told a lot of people, I apologize. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, it's good when you can find people that understand that it's not going to be on this exact schedule, like that things happen. And it's not necessarily like a priority thing. It's like more urgency sometimes, especially in this industry. Because as you know, like if we can't keep machines moving and things swinging, like that doesn't help anyone.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ConExpo podcast. I am your host, as always, Taylor White. Now, you might notice something a little bit different about today. We're sitting upstairs in my old man's office because we have somebody here in person that I have chatted with for probably, I don't know, maybe 2 years now. Owns his own business. He's been through hell and back. He's still getting through it. And I know that we relate on a lot of certain subjects the exact same. So super pumped that you made the drive like 2 hours from Kingston here today. So Travis Hesketh.
Hesketh.
Yeah. Hesketh. That was close.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here, dude.
Thank you for having me. And like you said, I mean, we've been chatting for a couple of years now and on and off, and I can see a lot of similarities in what you're doing and what we're up to. And it's cool to finally meet in person. And
dude, I love that. Well, exactly. But this is like my favorite thing to do. Like we're just like sitting down. Like I wish every podcast could be like this, genuinely, because it's just, I feel like it's so like laid back, relaxed, kind of just chatting. And it's nice that you were so close and you actually like made the drive out. I mean, that's a 4-hour round trip. So like much appreciated. But I know that you were recently on a podcast and I've always wanted to have you on the podcast, and then just like, stuff slips your mind, whatever. And then I saw you on a recent podcast, and just the way that you were talking and the stuff that you were talking about was genuinely stuff that I never even knew about. And I was like, I got to talk to you. So I guess to kind of start things off, to prefix people, like, why would you be sitting here on a construction podcast today with me? What do you do?
Well, as far as what I do, I essentially the same thing as you, just maybe a little bit earlier along in the stages. Like you said, I've been through hell, and I don't say I'm back yet, but in and out, it feels like all the time. But no, I'm made some bad decisions, I guess, that has led me to where we're sitting, but I have no regrets. And it was kind of cool to meet with those other guys virtually, which in person is way better.
Yeah, Luke and Luke from the Dirtbags.
Yeah.
I just had Luke, his episode is actually out right now, but it's not out in the time that we're filming this, but I just did one with Luke Payne.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to Montana with Luke.
Yeah, he was saying that, and I wish that was a trip that I could have been a part of.
You gotta come. We're good. Well, I think we're trying to plan like legitimately hog hunt.
Yeah.
And we want it. Like, would you ever do that?
Oh, I'm in for anything.
Yeah.
but it's just whether or not they'll let me in that country.
So when did you start? Like, where did the love for construction, I guess, start? And then what made you want to start your own business, like start your own construction business, and not just go work for somebody else?
I'd say I've always sort of been an entrepreneur. My roots were dirt bikes, motocross. So I started riding when I was 4. I started racing when I was 10. I turned pro when I was 18. And that's essentially all I ever wanted to do. Like, I was going to be a professional athlete. I was going to make a living riding dirt bikes, and that's all I cared about. It was cool, and I got to do a lot of neat things, and I traveled around. I met a lot of neat people, and unfortunately, I couldn't stay off the ground. So I had a lot of injuries. So I hurt myself a lot. Like,
How high up did you go? Because you were saying that you were traveling.
pretty much traveled throughout the east coast of Canada and the US. So um, I had potential to do things. Like, I mean, my speed was there. I wasn't ever able to put together anything where it mattered.
What kind of bike did you ride? Like a 252 stroke or 250?
I started I guess I turned pro in 90.
You were pro?
Yeah, in 2000 I did. So I've ridden quite a few different brands. Right now I still ride, but we're focused more on the woods and doing it as a family. So I got some Huskies, and the kids got Huskies. So does the wife. So we ride together now more in the woods, and it's a little easier on the body so that I can make it to work the next day.
That's it. I didn't know that you did that. Do you find that some of those skills are like, I guess, like riding a dirt bike, but more so like, I don't know, is there anything that's transferable skills from dirt biking to like entrepreneur life or like just like, I don't know, like living life, but like full throttle?
Yeah. I mean, I guess everything that I seek to get into, I don't do it half-assed.
Yeah. You're into
Just full in, dive in and go big. And I obsess about whatever it is that I'm into. And I guess motocross, with all the injuries and some stuff, and
it. Yeah.
it was great. I met a lot of people. I learned a lot of things. I had my mentors at the time were guys that were doing better than me. So I always aspired to be like them. And I think that transfers over into even what I'm doing now, is that I look at people, even like yourself, that are further along in business and doing cool things. And I look at what they're doing and think of how I could, replicate or make an adjustment or do it differently, or
Do it better.
ultimately do it better.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
That's
very competitive.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm my biggest competitor, because I don't, I try not to compete against other people, because it's not worth it. And then how I guess it came to be that I chose construction as a path. Like, I would have been, I think maybe 12. My parents rented me a skid steer to build my first track. Didn't know how to run it, and I taught myself. I learned, build a track then, and then I started building my own tracks and grooming stuff, and then building tracks for other people and designing. So like, a bulldozer is probably where my strongest strengths are, is in one, even though I don't have one yet, but
Share that similarity.
it's coming.
I love my favorite machine. I'm the best on it.
Same here.
Yeah.
So there's not a use for one every single day, or I'd have it. And building and designing motocross tracks wasn't something I could make a career out of up here, but the dirt work and all that stuff gave me the skills and, the seat time even to be somewhat efficient at it. So, I've always had the knack of being able to operate anything mechanical. And
That's super cool. Like, that's why I like asking that question, because I wouldn't have thought like that way. But I mean, it's true. Like, if you're building dirt bike tracks as a young kid and you're in and out of machinery, I mean, like, that's kind of like where that like deep rooted like love for machinery or construction, and tap that in with somebody who kind of has like that leadership entrepreneurial kind of outreach, then I mean, kind of sets you up for success.
I think so. And it teaches you the visualization side of things. Cause like, I would look at a blank canvas of like, whether it's a forest or a field, and I would have a track built in my mind. And as you're bringing it together. And I think that transfers over into a lot of some of the cool custom stuff that we're doing now, where I've got some pretty decent ideas and vision for certain properties of what we can pitch to customers, and bring certain things to life. And I think, that was a big takeaway there. And, it kind of gave me the ability to bring that into this construction side of things. And I'd still love to build tracks, don't get me wrong, but they're far and few between.
I like that. It kind of answers like, like where does that, like where did your love for heavy equipment come from? And like I feel like a lot of times where I ask people like on the podcast, it's like or just generally in construction life, it always comes from like when you're younger. Like, oh, my dad or my grandpa used to put me on this, or when I was younger, like at home we had an old tractor in the backyard, and we just like, and it kind of like carries out. It's like I don't know. It's like that, like, men were like cavemen and hunters and gatherers, but like boys, like when we were kids playing with, toys in the sandbox. Well, now
Tonga.
we're the same now, but our toys are just getting bigger and more real.
Yeah.
And the prices are more real.
They're definitely real. But yeah, it's been cool to just kind of keep doing what we did as kids and, making a living at something that you love doing. I think it's important. Like I love what I'm doing now. I mean, it's not always easy, but it's fun. It's a challenge.
Well, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
Like I love saying that because it's so true and it's so cheesy, right? Like such a tacky thing to say. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But there are so many times where I feel like, I'm not a very religious person at all. But I feel like, it's like sometimes in business, something is always trying to test me or test us as a team, or as individuals, whether it's something pulling from your personal life that is affecting you in your business life, or something internally in business with conflict with other people, or someone leaves, it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's always just something testing you. And I like going back and saying that, like, if it was easy, everybody would do it because it is not easy. And like, especially construction, I say construction is for savages because we are in like, it's such an insane industry. You need so much capital, so much overhead, so much investment, so much time. Like, it's insane. It's hard on relationships. It's hard on yourself. It's hard physically and mentally, every aspect to it.
I can relate to all of those.
It's wild, man.
I mean, I didn't know what I was signing up for. I knew how I wanted things to look. I'm like, I can visualize what the equipment should look like and the projects that I want to do. But then, like you just said, all of those other aspects, like if it was easy, yeah, everyone would be doing it. Is it high stress? Absolutely. Like there's days where I'm like, wow, I don't know how I'm going to keep it together today, but then there could be a high later. And like you spoke of religion, and I had never really practiced any. And actually recently we started to open up a little bit to that and started attending church, and sort of some of the people that I would say I look up to within the entrepreneurial world all seem to have that common thing in mind, and they all seem to be Christians, and we've been open to it and kind of learning a little bit. But there's quotes and stuff that now I resonate with about, stuff being hard. And what are they saying? Like God gives his toughest challenges to the hardest, or I don't know. I'm going to fumble that one all up. I wish I could recite it a bit better, but like basically like people that are built for it get hard stuff dropped on them. And it's cool to see that, some people would fold under some of the things that we go through, and everyone thinks, oh, it's just construction. Like how hard could it be? And I got that with motocross. It's like, oh, you ride a dirt bike. Like how hard is that? You just sit on the bike, turn the throttle. And yeah, that's all there is to it.
Yeah. Get on it. You tell me.
Exactly. Yeah, go jump that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you talk kind of like you're open about, and I feel like a lot of in the conversations you're okay with like transferring over to personal and stuff. But so you got a family, you got kids, wife.
Yep. My support crew, it's pretty small right now. Like, I'm an only child. I have 3 kids, 3 little girls.
No way.
Yep. 7, 9, and 10. They're all homeschooled. So my wife is the one, she wears a lot of hats. Yeah. But yeah, it's good. There's been a lot of things going on, I'd say, in the world that now I didn't really want the kids exposed to, or the things that they do get exposed to would be our choice. And so far it's working out well. And I think just like I've seen with you and your family, I have 3 little girls that want nothing more than to grow up and work within this and on this company and see where they can take it to after I get it to wherever I can.
Well, we talked about it on the Dave Turin podcast that I just had with him. And, I have a personal Instagram that I use as well too. And I was making a post about it like 2-3 weeks ago. I brought, I have a son who's 9 months and a daughter who's 3 years old. And then my wife and then, a dog. and we have a pit now. So we went up to the pit and went for like a family walk on a Saturday. And it was just like super cool because, especially when they're so young, it's hard to like bring them around and stuff. But I love bringing my daughter around. She's 3 now. She comes here on the weekend, helps me out if I'm working out in here. She's like in the shop running around, or she'll grab a broom and pretend to push it. And it's just like, it's just awesome. And I was more so along the lines of saying like, I think it's cool to like, I think it's normalized for people to hate their career. And I think it's normalized for people to be like, ugh, work. Oh, Mondays. Oh, thank God it's Friday.
Yeah. I have to go to work.
I have to go to work, not I get to go to work today. And I think that that's really important. And I don't want to sit here and be some kind of guy and just be like, every day is awesome and it's great, because it's not at all. It's busy as your phone is currently going off because someone wants to get a hold of you.
It's all good.
But no, but it's true. It's just like, not every day is awesome, but I love what I do. And I look at it like I get to do this. I grew up in a family that, was second generation. Now I'm third. I had this opportunity. I could have sat there and I could go to work every day, show up at 6:30, go home at 5. But I wanted more out of life. And I think it's important. What I'm trying to say is I think it's important to show your kids that like you are passionate and you love what you do, and show them that passion for what you do, because if they grow up seeing you hate your life, seeing you hate your career, they're going to grow up the same way. What a way to live. It's not good. It's not fun.
No, the work to live and live to work, I think it's something that we've almost been indoctrinated into believing. And we're getting away from that at too, because like you said, I get to go to work. I've been in a lot worse situations before. So it's like, to me, every day where I get to grab a door handle and open it myself, it gives me like a different perspective and an appreciation for everything that's going on. And my kids see that. And like you say, like my wife brings them to the job sites all the time. They're heavily involved. I've got them running equipment. They drive trucks and
I love it.
everything.
Oh, I love it.
Teaching them to back up. And I have girls, and I never imagined, I'm like, no, I'm going to have a son for sure. 3 girls later, I decided that, we weren't trying anymore. But,
Yeah.
but they're awesome. They do everything boys do. They ride dirt bikes. They're, well-spoken. And no, I'm happy. And it's cool that I'm showing them that what we are doing is fun. They don't need to drive a dump truck or run this, but there'll be some aspect of this company that they would love. And hopefully it's the people and then the whole atmosphere and something. And so far they're really eager, and it's cool to have them involved in that. And like, you see so many kids that don't even know what their parents do. They go to work and they come home and then they're mad, and it's like, they're
my age that I ask what their parents do and they don't know.
I know.
It's insane. Like, I just didn't grow up in that culture. I grew up in a culture where our business, believe it or not, it was never always, crazy like this or that. I remember repo guys showing up to our house to get dad's truck. Like I remember dad being like, here's the keys, you want it? Like it was never like easy. And it still isn't. It's better now, but I remember those times. And I grew up with my mom. Like, we'd get off the school bus and we'd have someone that would get us off the school bus because mom was cutting hair, and my mom was a hairstylist and she'd cut hair till 10 o'clock at night. And my dad was working. I wouldn't see him in the mornings or nights because he was up early and gone late. And it's just crazy, the dynamic of like just showing how hard work, and you can reap the rewards of it, but it's not easy.
No, but you can also make it fun.
Yes.
Might not be easy, but it doesn't mean it has to suck.
Yes.
And like you said, there's so many days where I'm up in the morning and I'm gone. I don't see my kids. I get home and they could be in bed. And I think that's why it's been awesome that they are homeschooled, because it could be a class trip at least once a week where they come to the job site. They bring lunch and, we all shut down and hang out with the kids. Or, I mean, they're a part of it all. They get to see it all. They get to see people smiling and having a good time. And, we talk openly about everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, what we're going through, so that they're not sheltered from anything. So they know what to expect, and they know what we're going through when we're going through it. Like, when there's stuff that's difficult, they see that, but they also know why. You know what I mean? Like, if you're kind of down in the dumps about something that's work related, it's not fair that they don't really know why. And I don't think that it's fair that you keep them sheltered from that. So,
Well, you just they'd be growing up in a false reality, right?
there's a lot of that nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah, and you see it with sports and stuff like that. But you talk about the good, bad, and the ugly and everything, and I definitely, because I got like bits and pieces. I definitely want to hear the story of, I know that your company is called Silkstone, and and there was a recent OPP sting here, and it was like Project Out. There was an OPP sting, and it was Project Silkstone.
Yep.
Hence why your business is Silkstone.
Exactly.
So why did you name your business after an OPP Project Sting?
Well, I suppose if it was called Project Doc something, I might not do that.
I love it, by the way. Silkstone is sick.
Yeah. And I was like, well, at least that they did something right in that project. Yeah, I made some bad decisions. I was tempted with something to make a lot of money, got myself wrapped up in something that potentially could have landed me in a lot worse trouble. I mean, I got in some doo-doo. I spent 2.5 years in jail.
2.5?
Yeah.
What jail did they send you off to?
I was just in Napanee.
Oh.
So it was a remand jail right down on the 401 between Kingston and Belleville.
Yes.
Yep. So that was my home for 2.5 years. And so.
Like, is it still ongoing?
Nope, I'm done. Everything's done and over. It's all behind me now. And we're just up from here. But
what happened?
Well,
tell me to stop.
No. I'm open to everything.
I just am so curious.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather be the one that tells it the way that it is rather than people assume. And that was another reason why I chose to name the company what I did, because ultimately I wasn't going to try and hide or deny the fact of whatever it is that I did that I shouldn't have been doing. Obviously I got in trouble for it. So, I mean, there was some things that I had to own. And I thought, well, Silkstone for one is a cool name. And I actually had aspirations to get into doing like natural stone, retaining walls, all that. I'm like, man, this is so fitting. So I didn't want people to be talking behind my back and, like, oh, if I called it Travis's Excavating or something that, they'd be, oh, that's the guy and he's affiliated with this and he was in trouble. Like, I don't want that. So I'm like, if I just put it out there, clearly I'm open. I've owned it. I'm not up to anything else. Like, there's so many rumors too that fly around on a local level that a lot of people think that the project that I was arrested in was named after me and the company, but my company didn't exist until after. So 2017.
Oh, wow.
So February 22nd, 2017. So
what happened?
So
you got wrapped up in stuff. Like, what was it? What is like? Could people go online and see it? Like, what was Project Silkstone? Was it drugs? Was it cars? Was it
quite a few things? So essentially what it was, there was one person, a police agent. So it was someone from the Belleville area who was known to, he'd been in trouble and stuff on and off in his life. And I guess he made some mistakes and he got in some and the police gave him an option to make his problems go away. And they said, listen, if you want to come work for us and clean up these streets or whatever their pitch was, then, we can do something to help you out and we can make your problems go away. So they ended up working with this guy. They gave him a $2 million contract. So I got to read through all that, see what motivated him to actually want to do this. And that was it. So I had never met him before. The project was ongoing before I had ever met him. And I kind of fell in at the wrong time. He was building some houses actually up the road from where I was living. And my parents wanted to move up to be closer to us and their grandkids. And I'd stopped by and this house just hit the market and it was private. So I went and introduced myself and we became friends and got talking a little bit and trying to put together a house deal. And I knew my parents had to sell their house and he, kind of befriended me. He was about the same age and told me he'd been in some trouble before and put that behind him and then kind of came to me with some propositions about what we could maybe do to make some money. And I've always been open to that ideas of talking about anything. So we talked about what we could do and it was essentially moving stuff back and forth across the border. that's what he wanted to do with me. I mean, they did ask me for all kinds of different stuff, guns and drugs and all of that sort of stuff. But the only thing I was really into entertaining at the time was to do some transportation side of things, because I grew up in the Thousand Islands. I was really close to the border. I could see New York.
Yeah.
So that's where it came to be. And, he motivated me with a lot of money. Like he said, $1 million per trip. And at the time, I'm like, I could definitely use $1 million. So I was like, well, let's talk about it. So we went back and forth. I met him in October. I was arrested in February. At the end, I didn't end up doing what they asked me to essentially do, what we had talked about, which was take a package that they were to give me, bring it over to the US, give it to their people. And I'm glad I didn't, because had I done that, it would have been a lot worse than the 2.5 years that I sat in jail. It would have probably been a life sentence based on what they led me to believe it would have been. So that part I feel thankful for, like as bad as it was, it could have been way worse. So in the end, in Canada, if you have the intent to do something, it's the same as doing it. So it was not real. None of it was real.
That's what they got you on.
Yep.
The intent, talking about doing it, saying you would do it, but not actually doing it.
Exactly. So if we could sit here and we talk about, I don't know, going to commit a crime.
Yeah.
If we're being recorded and all that, and even if we decide not to do it, we could still be charged as if we were to do the crime, which I didn't know any of this stuff. So anyway, I've learned a lot. You know what? Nothing is even worth discussing. If it's going to land me in jail, I don't care how much money it's for. Don't even talk to me about it. That's for someone else.
Did you have kids at this time?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. My youngest was just born. She was 4 months old. My oldest was 3.
I feel like that'd be the hardest.
Oh, it was totally hard. And I didn't actually get to see the kids the whole time while I was gone.
You wake up one day, like in February, and there's like a SWAT team outside.
Yep.
The house?
They kicked the door in and
With your family there?
Oh yeah. Yep. Full SWAT team, guns drawn, yelling SWAT tactical gear. And
did your wife know anything?
Nope. So she
your wife's amazing.
Yep. She was pretty taken back at the time. And I assumed, I'm like, well, I guess I'll see you tonight when I was arrested. But 2.5 years later is when I actually came home.
2.5 years behind bars.
Yep. Sitting there waiting.
What do you do to kill the time?
It was good in a sense.
Jail or prison?
That was jail. So I wasn't sentenced. So I mean,
you spent 2.5 years
sitting, waiting my court dates.
And then you got your court dates and like, yeah, just like get out of here.
No, like I thought that it would go quickly, and the system is so broken. Like I was 5 years in total before I got my final day in court. So I did 2.5 years behind bars, and then I was out on house arrest for 2.5 years. I finally was wrapped up. I started this company while I was out on house arrest. So I was only allowed to go to work, and got her going. And yeah, it was, they made it seem a lot bigger than it was. And that was the thing. Like the media does a very good job at painting a picture that might not be so accurate. And like the way that this project, they worded it was that there was this big group and an organization, and they were, like they took it down. But essentially that's not what it was. Like I can't speak for anybody else, but I know that I didn't know anybody at all. I think there was 22 people arrested from all across Ontario into Quebec the same day at the same time. It was like a full big takedown. But for the most part, like I didn't know anybody. So that part was, it sucked, because it makes it look like when they write it up that I've been a part of something that I really essentially wasn't. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. There's no getting out of this one. So what am I going to do? And then once I wrapped my head around how bad it could potentially be, and I got myself okay with that, I was like, hey, even if I had to do whatever, 10 years, I'm going to come out at this age, and I'll still have a lot of life left. My kids will be this old, and I just figured it out that way. Fortunately, I prepared for the worst. It was better. And, I'm thankful for even what I went through, to be honest. I think it shaped me. It made me a better person. And if that didn't happen, I don't even know what I'd be doing now. Probably wouldn't be this. I wouldn't have a construction company called Silkstone Group. That's for sure. I wouldn't have even known about it. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it wasn't that, maybe down the road, it could have been something worse. Right. So it was an eye opener. You learn a lot about yourself, about the people close to you, who supports you, who doesn't.
Did you find that a lot? Like, did you find that, first of all, the first one, so you didn't get to see your family for 2.5 years?
My parents and close friends and my wife would come and visit me.
You didn't get to see your kids?
I didn't want them to come and see me because the visits were behind glass and you can't touch. And I didn't want my kids to see me in that situation. They wouldn't understand it. And I got to talk to them on the phone every day.
Damn, that'd be hard.
That was the hardest part. And they asked where I was, and I won't lie. So I always said I was away working on a project. And I said, I'll come home as soon as the project's over.
What about now?
They know it all now.
Yeah.
Yep. And no, they're good. But at the time, I thought that they were a little too young to understand any of it. But, it was cool. Like, I'd read them bedtime stories. So my wife bought books and sent them in to me. And then they had the same books. So I'd be reading on the phone right along, and then they would be reading. And it would, like, we made the best of it, So it was good. My kids understand a lot more of the real world, and they can learn from my mistakes too, because I made a pile of them. So
I mean, yeah, man, that's a crazy thing to go through, and that's a crazy thing to happen. Like, that's not a story somebody just has that many people have.
No, and that's why, like, everyone's like, oh, I bet you wish you didn't do that. And I'm like, listen, I'd make the same mistakes over again because I'm very happy where I am now, and I'm fortunate.
It's a strong man to say that.
Exactly. And I mean, did I enjoy being away from my kids? No. But was that time good for me? I think so. And, even some of the friends that I had who I thought were, friends, they kind of dropped off. So it actually made it easier to even do what I'm doing now, because before, like, I used to think, I'm like, man, I have so many friends and so many people around me, and I'd give everyone my time. And then when I went through and you don't hear from them and they're not there, and like no one even checks up on you. And I mean, and the people who I thought may have been like, whoa, I want nothing to do with this dude anymore, they stepped up. That they were the ones that, were constantly checking in and, making sure everything was all right. Cause I mean, yeah, it sucked for me being in there, but it was an even bigger struggle for my family.
They needed their support.
Exactly. And it was nice to see the good people who weren't judgmental and who just said, you know what, regardless of what decision you made, Travis, I'll still stick behind you. And those people are still there. And the ones that fell off, I mean, I don't have any resentment towards any of them.
Yeah.
But I also can appreciate the fact that it's like, you only have so much time. And I'm sure you've come to value time a lot more when you're like up at 4:30 in the morning and you're working, and sometimes it's 11. You're like, I wish there was 10 more hours in a day. Well, if I have all these friends and I'm trying to maintain these relationships like I used to, it's just taking away from the important things.
Yeah.
So it's like I was always sacrificing something that was important for somebody else. And it's now the ones who do get my time definitely deserve it because I know it's reciprocated.
You got to be selfish with your time because you have business and you have family, right? And like ultimately too, like I always joke, with my wife, like I have two friends, like, and I have one really good friend, and that's my circle. Like, other than that, I come to work. I have the people at work. I love the people that I work with, but like people outside of work that like don't care about YouTube, that don't care about how many dump trucks I own, that don't care about what I'm buying or money or when the paychecks, or just like salt of the earth friends. I got one, and I like keeping my circle small because like I could forget to message you for 3 days. I could forget to message my buddy for like 3 days, and all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, sorry about that. And he owns a business too, and he gets it. And I value those friends because he doesn't. It's not like it's not work, and it's not drama. I find it's hard to have friends whenever it's like work and drama. That's really hard for me because it's like, man, I'm focusing on this stuff. I just need people that understand that like I'm chasing and doing something that is not what everyone else in the world is chasing and doing. And I need people that are kind of on that same level, not talking about money. I'm not talking about fame or anything like that. just people that understand, like, I get it. You're on to something and you're chasing it, and I respect it. And don't worry about the message I sent you 2 days ago about sending you a funny picture of me in the garage or something. Like, you know what I mean? Those are the people and that's what I find interesting with your story. And I think that that's like a really key part of, like, it really showed you the true people's colors of, like, who you want to surround yourself with and who you don't. And that's why I say about your wife too, dude. I mean, like, shout out to your family. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, everyone was left with a lot of decisions to make. And ultimately, I couldn't have blamed her if she wanted to leave.
That's what I was going to say. She could have easily been like,
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Your kids, see ya.
Yeah, well, that one would have been a hard one to swallow. But I mean, at the end of the day, I made a bad decision, but I'm not a bad person. Like, I don't have bad intentions.
Nope.
I just had balls and was willing to take risks. And I've always done that. And I'd always like to think they were calculated. And, had that proposition been real, I'm sure I would have executed it and it would have gone very smoothly. And, it would have been well thought out and whatever. But, it wasn't real. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And like you say, like the friend side of things, I like you say, having people that are no drama, low maintenance. Like, if I don't talk to you for 2 weeks, I can just message you and it's just like it was yesterday or whatever, instead of, oh, now you call. Like, I'm sure my phone does not stop all day. Between text messages, emails, phone calls, like, I miss stuff. Like, I'll look quick in a text message and then like 3 days later, I haven't even responded. And like, I keep telling people sometimes, I'm like, if I don't want to talk to you, I will tell you. So if I didn't respond, you can stay on me, and it helps because it's just like there's so much in a day that I'm juggling and going through and planning. And, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like I could plan my whole day out. And sometimes by like 6 a.m, I take that plan and throw it in the garbage because everything that I was going to do, we can't do that. We got to do what needs to be done, that this has happened and this has happened and that's changed. And that, so it's definitely a struggle, but
That's like the business owner. Like, I mean, perfect example. I think it was, what day are we on now? Thursday?
I lose track of it.
Oh, I'm the worst. So today's Thursday. So I think it was Tuesday. I had a free day, free day, free morning.
Yeah.
Like no, I had no meeting scheduled. That's what I consider I mean, minus everything else that goes on, getting everybody started for the day, jobs. I could do everything I needed from my phone. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the pit. And I'm going to figure out where the sand hits the bottom. And, I was just there like myself, or maybe this was last week because you were with me one day. Anyways, I was there one day when I was by myself. And it was just like, when I'm in the machine, I was just trying to focus, and I had this goal in my head of like, okay, I got like 4 hours this morning to just like pull sand up, find the clay, how much sand, what's the sand look like. And it was just like the unexpected phone calls, people trying to get a hold, needing answers for stuff. And I'm like, man, like I had a plan for this morning that was going to go this way. And then I ended up literally getting out of the machine, turning the key off, getting in my truck, going back to the office. And I had to come back here and I had to answer the emails and then go meet people at a different job site. It was just like the whole day just got completely ruined. And that's why I find it hard, even with Jake, he sees it, my filmer, like, it's like, and I think that was the big issue too with like, just filmers in the past or just people in general, is like, I'll have a plan and then that plan doesn't follow through. And then it's like, you let me down, dude. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, oh, you have no idea, man. I'm not trying to say that what I'm doing is so much more important and you have no idea, but just the unexpected.
Yeah. Please understand it. And like, I'm sure you do a good job at communicating with everybody. Like I try
my best, but sometimes communication gets lost, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, remember I told you, they're like, you never told me that. I'm like, well, I told a lot of people, I apologize. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, it's good when you can find people that understand that it's not going to be on this exact schedule, like that things happen. And it's not necessarily like a priority thing. It's like more urgency sometimes, especially in this industry. Because as you know, like if we can't keep machines moving and things swinging, like that doesn't help anyone. And, there's a lot of times where like there's an issue that you have to tend to.
Yeah, man. I look at it as like it's something that's good, but more so like what I like talking about is just like, yeah, like we had a company wide meeting and we're like, yeah, listen, this year it's going to be different. We have the same amount of work, but I got to run leaner like last year and I'm going to be expecting more. If you're not on that program, then sorry, but there's people that will be on that program. And I find, and I don't know about you, but I find, and it's hard when you talk about like the new generation or young generation, because that's every generation talks about the generation before them.
Yeah, do they ever get better?
Yeah. But like, I want to prefix this that like, there is there is smarter, more hardworking people younger than me. In any generation, there's always lazy people. In any generation, there's always high achievers. And I just think that it's just very frustrating. I find like the societal culture of like easy money, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, that's what I have a problem with is the easy money, Oh, like Dogecoin, like, you get rich doing this, or, oh, I could get rich doing that or this. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to lose the push of like, hey, like we were talking about this before and it was on camera of like, okay, don't think just year from now, 2 years from now, and don't be frustrated that in a year from now, you're not here. Like, look 10, 15 years down the road. Where will I be? Where am I working right now? And where will this company be 10 years from now? They've grown in the past 3 or 4 years. There's a lot of opportunity for growth at this company. Okay. So is it worth leaving for $2 or $3 more an hour to go to the other place that is already established? And maybe my path won't be as great there. That's what I feel like I get frustrated with is I feel like there's just a lack of patience. And I actually can say that from I've hired people from 16 years old to 55 years old. And it's across the board. I find it's just patience. And I think that during COVID, when we had such a labor shortage, because I think we can stop talking about labor shortage now because that's where we are, prefix that.
Yeah.
Because in Ottawa, I have people begging to come to work right now because they see us working and they're still laid off for the winter.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like the power's coming back fun, which is nice.
Yeah. And I agree with you there. Like when we first started, I couldn't get anybody.
Dude, you know how the interviews went with us? Sorry, the interviews. I remember we were talking about this yesterday because I had a job interview with a guy and we called them COVID interviews. I would interview people and at the end of it, they'd shake my hand and go, I'll let you know. And because that was COVID interview. It was like, well, no, like that was the market, right? Like my truck driver. I remember hiring truck drivers and being like, all right, I'll let you know. And it's like, man, what world are we living in where it's like, you're going to let me know if you are going to come and work here? And it was just, that was it. There was just not enough people. But now it's changing because there's not this massive boom of construction. Anyways, that was a side tangent, but we were talking about that the other day and I'm like, I really want to make sure that I get that point out that like, finally the power is coming back to the employer, which as an employer, it's nice to have.
For sure. And it's nice to have a bit of a selection instead of just taking whatever you can get.
Yes.
And it's that way you can interview 10, 15 people and pick the right fit, the best fit that you believe, the person that's going to stick around. Cause like, I've never had any intentions of hiring somebody short term. It's always been welcome to the family. And I look forward to this journey together.
Well, you're wasting their time and yours if you're thinking short term.
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't think an employer for the most part would ever want to just hire somebody short term. Here's an opportunity for both of us. Come and let's see what we can do. See if you enjoy doing what you're doing. See if you like who you're doing it with. And then it's all just perspective and you learn a lot about everybody. And like you say, like time. If I think 1 year is very short, but someone else believes that to be a long time, where do you see eye to eye there? And it's hard, right? So, and it's like, I'd say one of the biggest challenges that I found is that when you're thinking 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, you're making these steps on a day-to-day basis, like maybe 1 forward, 2 back, 3 ahead, whatever it is. But everyone else, like someone might have a different perspective where they're thinking like, if I put in a year here, I expect to be like made some serious advancements. And it's like, well, hey, I would love that too, but we have to kind of grow at the same time. Like where the company has to sustain and grow. Otherwise it's like, yeah, I could pay everybody like triple what I can afford to. But then when you don't have a job because, the well dried up and you know what I mean? Like it's hard to pay somebody $100 to do a job that you'd charge 75 for, so it's, I don't know, like you say, going leaner, finding the right people who are on board with the whole vision and want to ride it out with you, and like the good and the bad. Like everyone can be there for the good times. And I saw that in my personal life a lot when I was, doing fun things all the time. Like I had a circle of people around me that was like, fill your whole shop. But then when times get bad or a little rough, it's like, where'd everyone go? But now, like, as you get older, you learn to appreciate, who are the ones that stuck around, and same with, what matters. And like with employees, like I've got some good guys now, and I'm fortunate and happy to have them. And I'm hoping that, we keep growing and adding the right ones. And I think I got a little excited in the beginning. I was like, yeah, come on. It's like, if you want to work here, let me show you how great it's going to be. And I just assumed that everyone would like what it is that we're doing and, see it the way that I saw it. And it's not always the case. And it's unfortunate because it sucks to see anybody go. I haven't fired anyone yet, but
Good.
We've all because
I enjoy firing people.
Yeah.
I say that because I remember we had an older guy that was a project manager that worked for us. And I remember the first time, because we were going to get him to start doing some HR stuff. And I said, okay, I'm going to fire this kid that we hired in the yard. It's just not working. Come with me, and I want you to be a part of the process. I want you to see how I do it. So he came and did it. And, I always like building. I break them down and then I build them up. Like it's like, hey, you're done. Bad news. This is why. Bad news. Here's what I would do moving forward. And I always like letting them leave with something of like, hey, like you might in your head this whole time while I'm talking be like, screw you, dude. You just fired me. Like, get out of here. But I always like giving them some tools of like explaining to them why and how you could be better at your next place. So like, no, I don't enjoy firing, but I enjoy the process of like having that like serious, like one-on-one time of like explaining to them how to build them up. And I remember this project manager, like we walked away. He's like, if I ever get fired, I want you to be the one to do it. He's like, gee, like I feel great about it. Yeah, I think it is difficult. I enjoy the firing process, but I don't, obviously nobody likes doing that, especially, but like, yeah, so I like to put this spin on. I have created the last 3 people to leave are now entrepreneurs. So I like to tell myself that I create entrepreneurs.
So you have a school.
That's my positive.
Yeah.
I like creating entrepreneurs. So that's what I've done for the past 3 people that have left is they're entrepreneurs, because I haven't fired anybody. We actually, the past 2-3 years, we've been having the same crew. Like it took us a long time to figure out this, but now we have a really solid crew. But yeah, the last people that have been going just started their own business. So
same with me. The last few people that have come and gone they've gone.
Can't blame somebody for wanting to go and do that because it's their own thing, right? It's just, for me, it's always just, I just like a little bit of the recognition of like, hey, this is where I've learned, and just like not slander or back talk or have this weird thing where they're upset with you for some reason, but it's like, I taught you what you know and what you're doing. Like you were open to learning those things, but essentially like I paid you to learn those things. So just like, don't talk bad on my name and that sort of stuff. That's the only thing that I don't like about that.
I agree with you there. It sucks because I would support anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. And and it's like you say, if you could sit down and talk openly and truthfully about, like if someone says, hey, listen, I've always wanted to do my own thing. I want to go out on my own. Nothing against this. I appreciate everything that we did together. But I'd like to try it. And I'd say, absolutely. And you know what? Then you can support it. You can get behind it. And then it's like, you know what? I'm going to refer people. I'm going to help you. Because like, there's going to be stuff like, depending on what position it was, that you could ultimately say like, hey, I've got something for you. I just had someone call or need this, and I know what you're capable of, and I'd like to refer someone and send them your way. you know, and it makes you feel good. Like I'm a giving person, and you know, it's unfortunate when people leave because that's never what your intentions are, because usually they're key people that were there for a reason, and you want to grow together, and it's like you're investing in each other, your time, and you know, you're building that relationship. And it sucks. It's like, you know, like as an employer, you're taking a few steps back every time that somebody decides that, you know, it's not a good fit for them and they want to leave. And now you're like, okay, well, now we got to start the process again. And the unfortunate part is, I mean, you kind of change the way that you are towards people, I think, every time that happens, because you're like, are you going to be the next one that's going to leave? You know, but you can't really do that. So,
But they almost ruin it for other people. That's what I don't like about it. It sucks because it puts a bad taste in my mouth and it ruins it for other people, but you just can't let that happen.
no, I don't take offense to anything. Like sometimes it feels like, you know, it hurts a little bit.
Personal, but then you're like, wait, this is business.
Yeah. And
I get up tomorrow and do what I'm doing anyway.
that's the hard part for me, was separating the business and the personal, because I was taking things too personal, you know, when you're like, what do you mean? Like, why would you want to go? You know, but it's just like, I understand at the same time, but it's just, you know, there's a certain way to do things, you know, and I like to just leave everything on good terms, where I think just like in relationships, some people are incapable of parting ways on good terms. They have to hate the other person.
Love that. No matter what, even if you were the best person in the world, I like that, because you're right, and you can't beat yourself over that or try to fix that.
No, but that's just some people's nature. Like I like even women I've dated in the past, I think I'm friends with every single girl that I've ever dated because I don't leave on bad terms. You know, but you see other people who, listen, I have to hate your guts. I will find some reason, because that enables me to move on. And I think that's what some people need. And that part sucks. You know, I don't need to be the villain in the story, but if that's what it takes for some people, then that, you know, that's their choice, not mine.
Anything big coming 2024 that you want to touch on? What's your plans for this year?
Keep the lights on.
Yeah.
You know, like I've taken on a lot. This winter was a struggle, I think, for everybody.
Winter was incredibly hard. We both talked about that. It was insane.
And I'm happy to have people, you know, within this industry, like the community that I've found, like within Instagram and that, like, you know, you talk to people and it's nice when they're open with you and you're like, holy, it's hard right now. And you know, you get the same thing back. They're like, we hear you. Even people that you wouldn't expect to hear it from. And then, you know, people are laying off guys, and like the projects aren't really out there. And, you know, we're going to site meetings now, which might have had 2 or 3 people at before. And now there's like 40 companies there, you know, and then you're bidding on stuff and the numbers are coming in, and, you know, some guys are 1.2 million. Some guys are bidding 600 grand. And you're like, there wasn't that in this whole, like, what's going on? And people are being aggressive, and, you know, some companies can afford just to lowball stuff and keep their guys busy until hopefully things pick up. But no, I'd say my plans this year are to be lean, to find some good people that want to be a part of what we're doing. Hopefully long term, want to stick it out. You know, we're looking for anybody that feels that they could add value to what we're doing. I'd be happy to talk and, you know, find a place for you.
Reach out to Travis.
I mean, personally, it's all a matter of opinion, but I feel that I created an environment for people within this company that I would have liked. And, you know, I think that I do a good job at that. Not everyone will agree, but you know, it'd be cool when we find the right people and we grow, and, you know, we stay busy and do some fun stuff, and hopefully get filming some things again. And
hopefully we film some stuff together. It's a whole other part that we didn't get to talk to about social media and stuff like that. But I feel like that would be an unbelievable part too, because we're killing every single battery here that we have going on with cameras.
Well, I think we have lots to chat about. And I mean, I'm not far, so
no. And next time I go to Kingston, we should do one where we're like pick a night, like a nice summer night or something, and do like a campfire talk around the fire or something, you know?
I'm in for anything.
That would be really fun, but we should do some filming and stuff like that together. But I appreciate
projects
you.
on job sites together. We'll
I think it'd be a blast
get all the machines swinging in the same sites.
for sure. I appreciate you coming out. This podcast is brought to you by our good friends over at Komatsu. Thank you for listening to the Iconic Spoken Egg podcast, Travis.
Thanks for having me. I mean, no, it's great to be a part of everything that's going on in this community, and I love it. I love the people, and
One big happy family.
yep. And I look forward to seeing where we all make it.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for listening, guys.